Welcome, welcome, welcome. Seekers of light and love. Yeah, right. That's why we're here, spreading the light, spreading the love, and being in balance is what I can say to that one. Right? Going and the work, actually, not just listening, which is important, especially doing such powerful energies than today. And yeah, I hope that you take action, right? Not just think about possible actions. And yeah, so welcome, right? For those who know me, I'm Jana, or who don't know me, I'm Jana, and those who know me, they know me, right? I'm working with Roger and Stan for around a year now, quite exactly a year, and everything was in perfect alignment. My message suits the message of Roger and Wilhelm. And yeah, this is why I will do the introduction and I will get us all to take deep breaths, right? Let's present ourselves. Let's bring us into the present moment and maybe close our eyes. Take a deep breath through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Feel the energy. Just feel. Don't think too much. Just feel and let the thoughts come your way. Breathe in deeply. Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Hold your breath. Exhale slowly and set an intention. What do you want to get out of this time here? You will get information that you can apply in daily life. And are you making a decision to take action on those decisions that you make, or those inspirational thoughts that you will get through listening to Wilhelm? Because you will only manifest if you really take action. Waiting for a better world to come without taking action, like, we won't get there. We have to take action. I have to take action. You have to take action. So listen, pay attention, follow your highest inspiration. And in this call, but also after the call, take with what inspired you most and take action, right? Sending you all love. I'm grateful to be here. It's a great time to be alive. Let's come together. Let's build community. Let's build the support that we always dreamed of having, right? Also, when we didn't have it in the childhood whatsoever, or when we grew up. It's time to be the support. It's time to be the change that you want to see. Take action on it. Be inspired. Take inspired action and enjoy your time. Thanks, Rog. Thanks, Dan. Love you. And let's go.
Thank you so much. And we're ready to begin. And we could have not have asked for a better opening from our Yarna. He never knows what we are going to bring up, but that is exactly what we wanted to bring to all of you. You have no idea how important this day is and why we asked you all to come here. Even those who don't know why we say all the time, we've waited for you your entire lives, you will understand it today. This is one of the most momentous days on your planet, and you're taking advantage of it. Now, we couldn't have told you that before, but what we did is that we had our messenger do something very special for you. We gave you a gift, and what that was several messages that we had streaming. We'll give you the link to that because we do want you to hear it. But we did even more than that. We told him several days ago to put together something for this channeling session. He never knows how we're going to orchestrate that, just as you don't know how you are orchestrating your lives. It's something that shows up during time through your consciousness, and that is with all of you. You come together in the physical plane and you decide that you're going to create something, and it always comes and manifests through you, and that is this period. You could not have known that this particular period in your world would have looked the way that it does, but we're saying it is the best time ever to be alive, and that makes no sense to you until you begin to understand why you're here. You're here to evolve, to ascend, to just prosper and become the highest version of yourself. That's why you decided to be on the earth at this time. And so we said that you have feared your success. See, your success would be embodying your authentic self. And that's always a journey. It's an individual journey that you each take, and it's going to be different for each of you. But when you decide to do that, what you are doing, putting a new energy into the world, and that is one of love, because you've decided to love yourself. Now, we've shown you the process. That's why we showed you all the dates from 2008, and we will explain why we started there. But we did something else. We had our being. See, you all are a little stuck. And this is the period that you are right now. And this is what you're witnessing in your world. You're just a little stuck because you haven't created your success. And we've just given you a plan, a guide to get there. But that was a little unbelievable for many of you, including our messenger. So what we did, we told him several days ago, put these messages together. But then what we said, and as he was doing that, he goes, wow, this is really crazy, because he's reading them and he said, how am I feeling better? How am I understanding this? Why did they all come through on the same every January 25th? Yeah, see, we're not limited by linear time. You are. Everything is happening in your moment of now, and that's where you have your greatest power. But you forget that because you're still busy working through all of your old stuff, all of your old restrictions. And in this particular time in your world, you're moving through all of your generational beliefs. And so we thought we would give you something new. And we gave you something called your life operating instructions, because you cannot create the new world that you want to have if you keep operating in the old way. And you are the beings who are on the planet now to bring in this information. And all we're doing is just guiding you. And it was challenging for all of you to believe that, including our being. And so what we did is we had him do something that was so incredibly challenging, because see, we even used a little quote yesterday from Elanor Roosevelt, because you take things from those who have come before. You all do. And she said, do something every day. Do something that scares you. You see, because that thing that scares you is you taking the next step into owning who you are and understanding the importance of your life and understanding why you are on the planet at this time. And we've just given you a guide that would have you accomplish that. And then we thought that maybe if we showed you the result, that you would start to believe that. We showed you a being who's moved through every human difficulty, challenge, and horrible thing that you can imagine, and he survived it. And at 73, he's still here talking about it because he can't quit, because he knows what you can accomplish. He's seen all of that before. He's been through all of the things that many of you have done, which is why he can speak about this in a new way. But he has held himself back as well. And this is why we had to prove it to him. So what we did, we said, now listen to it. He was in his bed. He tries to run from us. You all do that. It's so interesting. And so we said, no, you're not going to sleep. Now get up. We want you to listen to the messages, because it makes no sense. And so he did. He put it on his phone. He put up this speaking thing that he can do on his phone, where he listened to the messages and he go, oh, I feel better. And then he listened again and he felt better. And then he wanted to put it up. We said, now just have everyone listen to those before they come to this channeling session, because they will understand so much more. Well, that couldn't get done because his associate was busy. They couldn't do it. Roger's terrible at technology, but he said that. But we said, do it. He didn't know why we were doing that. But see, and you'll see in the messages that we gave you, every decision you made was correct. You just come to figure that out later. He didn't understand why he was doing it. But what he did, he put that video up there, and he's using this weird voice from his phone that he recorded it with, and it sounded terrible, and he knew that. And he was going to face all the judgment that was going to come from everyone saying, how terrible this sounds. He said, good. Because see, that's the thing that has held him back. And has held many of you back, the judgment of what you think others are going to think of your creation, or who you are, or what you came to bring to the world. And we're saying that you came to bring something wonderful. And this is why we've changed everything. We had him change his website to say, you are a gift to humankind, because that is all of you. There's no separation there. We just gave you something else, and we want you to understand this, because when he moved through that and he listened to it and he said, oh, wow, I really do have something now. Maybe I can stop holding back. And this is what we're having all of you do. But it's a process. But this is why we wanted you to see it's a process. You use linear time to evolve your consciousness. You do that individually and you do that collectively. And so you'll see in the messages that we gave you, we began in 2008. And Roger's going, what? 2008? He didn't even know that he had messages that he had typed. See, because he hid so many of them, even though he started in 1980. We're going to clear up something else. We'll come back to this, but we got to clear up something else because he's been saying something incorrectly. And many of you have memories that you think are real, and sometimes they aren't, and sometimes they're limiting. But he thought, oh, Wilhelm started coming through in 1988. Well, no, that wasn't really true. And we want you all to really research this. It was actually 1989. And when you start to look at the changes in your society and your consciousness that happen at different periods of time in your history and your planet, they occur at certain times. 1989 was a big one. He didn't know that, but he kept trying to run from it. We're sending him messages. Look at 1989, please. See, because that was so many things started to come about. That's when you had your internet, which you're using now. That's when it started to become available. And so now you have the ability to disseminate more information in a greater way that you never had before. And he didn't know that. He didn't use anything. When he started getting to us earlier on, he didn't have any of that, but he never used it until many, many years later. But now you have something that you can make a greater difference. And that works both ways. That's what we want you to understand, because that's what you're going to see during this year. We said you and your world will change this year, and it will be 2024. And the way that it turns out will depend on what you decide to do. And the simplest and the most wonderful thing that you could do, and what would make the greatest difference in your world, is if you decide to move through all of your old limitations and restrictions and hatred and doubt and all that stuff that you have, and start to love yourself. And this is the guidance that we've given you. See, because we wanted you to understand, and we gave you something earlier, just recently, we talked about ultimate reality. Because see, when you can gain this concept, many of you call it the fifth dimension, but we want you to think of ultimate reality, because that is a place that you typically understand when you leave your physical form. And we gave you that message. Our being hasn't put them all out there, but we've given you many messages over that time talking about ultimate reality. Now, why did we give him 2008 to begin with? Because that was a change on your planet again. And it was a change that you're moving through right now. And this is why this day is so important. You have a Leo moon. Now we told you, gave you some of this. And those of you who are really brilliant at this will go and figure this out. Because see, you are moving through a Pluto return. Now, there's certain, you each have different configurations, just your DNA. They're all brilliant and they're all meant to be here now. They're just in different places and you have different jobs to do, but they're all invaluable. And we know it's you because, see, others wouldn't hear us. They wouldn't even listen to us. And many people run when they do listen to us because they said, this is just crazy talk and that makes no sense. Except we're showing you someone who has moved through every horrible thing that anybody on your planet could experience, and he's here in joy, which is where we want you to go. Because see, that's the energy that's going to change your life and it's going to change your world. And you will see, we gave you a message about that self-love. You can't understand this. Self-love would change your world. Well, yeah, because you're seeing people everywhere else hating one another and causing wars because that energetic, that consciousness has not been changed. And you are the people who are going to change it, which is why you decided to be on the planet at this time. And we just gave you a being who could help you accomplish that. That's all. And he's quite aware that he could do this, but he's also held back. And he started that in 1989. And we gave you a message a long time ago, and he's shown it once, but we'll bring it up again. Because, see, he's known that he has this very big, benevolent spirit. He just loves everyone. He can't stop. And that's also his difficulty. Because see, he thinks he can help all of you and change everything, and he can't do that, and it holds him back. These are the issues that you each are going to come to understand within yourselves. And as you do that, you start to come to a higher level of consciousness within yourself, and you start to love who you are. And that's the energy you will place into your life and into the world. And we're saying this in this way because we don't want you to judge yourself, because that's been the difficulty. It's been the difficulty with our messenger because he's judged himself. And this is why we had to have him go through the embarrassment, which he thought it was going to be, but actually it turned out differently because other people are now making different comments about that video. Because see, what happened was the voice was so weird that when he listened to it, he could finally hear our words. He wasn't hearing a human giving him something. He was hearing a consciousness, which is what you all have. And that's what we give you. When we give you information, we're awakening your consciousness. We're just getting you to remember and listen to your higher self. And you're going through these changes now, this global change. It's global. It's not just in one place, it's global. And what you're doing is you're trying to transcend all of your old beliefs. And many of them have to do with religion, too. We want to say that, which is why you will see in our work that we don't talk about that. We will speak of things of connectedness, oneness, God, Allah, all that is, whatever terms you use. But we want you to understand that you're all a part of that. You just form different ways of coming to understand that, coming back to source. And that is ultimate reality. Because, see, when you're in that place, you don't see any differences. And so we gave you a work, which we called your life operating instructions, which says that every single soul comes into the physical plane with worth and value. And all that happens is that you carry old stuff with you. And so you just get rid of that. And the more of you start getting rid of that, you start seeing a very different world. You change your planet. Now, all of this we've given you, but you might not have heard it. And this is because it takes time for your consciousness to evolve. And but you have to actively do something as well. This is why we've shown you again why our being spent 35 years sitting down every single day and receiving this information, healing his life, and deciding to give it to you. But getting you to believe that is really challenging. And that's because his belief had to be shaken, and that's what we did the other night. And he thought it was the most horrible thing. He spent that night when he put that video up, he was just in the fetal position because, oh no, they're going to hate me. This is what you do. And then it wasn't that at all. And he got over it. And that's exactly what we wanted to have happen, because on this day where you have this particular Leo moon, and again, this double Scorpio here, who's about, and if you look up all of these things, you'll find the configurations. We've given you this to you before, because when you look at what Pluto, Mars, and his double Scorpio, and also having a Leo moon, well, of course, it would all come through on this day, where the awareness would start to become illuminated, is what we wanted to say, because you all have something to bring to the world, but it's just been a lot, we just have fear. And the biggest things that humans move through, you all do it, is fear and doubt. That self-doubt. And this is why you think you're imposters. And our messenger went through that many years ago when he finally, someone saw some of our information and they accused him of plagiarism. It came from us. How could it be plagiarism? Many of you might start to have those kinds of experiences, because what happens is you start to access another level of communication of consciousness, and it'll seem like everyone else is saying the same thing, because there are many beings on your planet who do understand this information, and you start moving to that place and you start to accept it within yourself. That's what happens. And we've tried to get you to understand, you come into the physical plane and you have these bodies, these physical bodies that you use for a while, but you're navigating through the earth just to develop your soul. And the more of you who do that, don't you think you would see a very different world? And we had to take him back to hearing a video. Many of you know this because he hides things away, like all of you do. This is why we bring it up. So we don't want you to judge yourself. We just want you to become aware. And so we had him go back and find a channeling session that we gave you a year ago. I said, and he's listening to it. He goes, why didn't I understand? Why didn't I believe this? Because we said that we have given you something that could change your world. Because see, and he couldn't say these things because we said we've given you the key to personal success and world peace. And we know we have, but to get more of you to believe that is a really big challenge. And then we said we did it in a way that anyone could afford it. And you will look at that and say, no, that can't happen, because you also have cognitive dissonance. You all do. And it's purposeful. It's not a bad thing. It's purposeful, because then you get to ask new questions and decide to move beyond it. And you have limitations. We gave you something last time where we're going to correct this because our being was so upset. And we said, no, you said it the right way the first time, because we said that the more you know, the less you understand. He said it a different way, but either way would have made sense. But what we're saying is when you think that you know something about yourself or your world or all that, you're cutting yourself off from the vital information that comes to you from the source, that comes to you from the divine. And you all have access to that if you take time to listen and to have it come through. And the only thing we're saying, and our being knows that this is no different. When we gave him this message in 1989 about he was so powerful and he was this benevolent being, and then he also had this contradiction because he thought that if he had used his power he would use it in an ego-oriented way to the detriment of others. And it is exactly the opposite. But now he can understand that because what you're going to see now is all of those beings in your world who have not yet transcended their egos, and they're going to mainly be in your politicians. We must say that because this is a big political change. It's a global shift in everything, in your economics, your governments, and everything. And the ones who have these huge egos that they are not able to get beyond are going to be in power. And you are the ones who are going to bring up a new energy that's going to change all of that. And we have given you the work to have that happen. And we have to bring you all of this today because, see, our being could not decide. We gave you a message in there as well about deciding, because each of you can do that. And there comes a time in your life where you decide who you're going to be. And that decision is an energetic one. And then now you're using your consciousness to bring to you the actual results that you want in your life. And then that's going to start to manifest in your world. And then you stop killing each other and you stop killing yourselves, because that's what happens when you don't take the steps into owning who you are. You start having these physical illnesses and diseases and chronic things going on. So that happens. Now, we want to say this particular time, though, however, many of you are going to experience a lot of those things because the energies of your galaxies, your planet are changing. And so, yes, it's going to affect your physical bodies, but you haven't yet put together how all of that works together to create your life and the world, but they do. But that's the information that we've given you. Now, when we take you back to 2008, and we just did this just a half hour ago. We want you to understand this because Roger thought, oh, well, I don't have things from 2008. How can I pull out this random message from 2008? Because see, that's when Pluto changed again, and that it was really affecting the United States. And this is why, well, it affected globally, but we said that the United States would lead the way in this restructuring. But you also had this financial downturn. Do you remember that? Where everything, you had this great recession. That was 2008. Pluto was moving. And so now you're at the same place now where you have a new choice. And then we said that you're going to do things that you have not done in hundreds of years. And we also said that you're going to use the word unprecedented so many times during this period. And you've heard it. That's because none of this has ever happened before. But that's a really great thing because that's why you're here. If you decide to be happy, love yourself, become prosperous, and when we're talking about prosperity and money and all of that, we're talking about energy. Please understand, because what's going to happen, this shift in balance that you're going to experience in your world is going to be from those who think they need to hold on to everything just for themselves. We've said this many times, but now you'll understand it. Or if they're going to do something that's going to be for the greater good of all. And we know that you are here for that aspect of it, which is why we put that up there. And what we mean, it's not about you going out and changing the world, doing something big. No, it's about you loving yourself. That's all. And this is the thing that also happens. Many of you have these ideas that what you are doing is not that important. It is so vastly important because when you put all that together, you have a collective energy that then produces a result. And what you are seeing in your world are these energies who are fighting against one another. And we said that you have repressed anger that you're going to see everywhere within you and within your world, but you are the ones who are going to change that. And we've also said, and this is challenging for all of you, because you'll look at your world and you think, all this terrible stuff is happening. And we said, well, you created it. You created it so you could be here to change it, you see? It didn't happen just yesterday. It's been building for decades and eons. You've been coming up to this place. This is why we said this is the great change. Many will call it different things. We've called it a restructuring. We love using that. And we said we gave you an ascension guide. That's what this work is, because ascension means that you come to a higher level of understanding of who you are. And that is just takes time. That's all. But You have to get rid of your self-judgment. That's the biggest one because many of you have had that, which is why the last session when we did on our new moon, we had there your story. And we would love for you to hear that again because when you put these together, it will make even more sense. When we said it was your story is unique and valuable because no one has it but you. But you keep judging it and you think it's wrong, or you have trepidation. And the trepidation and anxiety is really a great one, though. You think it's a bad thing, but we say no, because you're being awakened by your higher self to say there's more for you to do, and you just have to step into it. And once you do that, everything changes. And we can say that because we've seen it happen. And now, when we said in 2021, we said, well, we have this great work and you could do it and it'll change your life. You said, no, that couldn't happen. But then there were certain people who did it, and now they are demonstrating that, and they will go out and demonstrate that to others. That is what you all do when you start to believe in yourselves and what you came to offer. Now, again, please understand that what you came to offer may look different than anyone else on the planet, and it will. And you're going to see that during this particular time throughout 2024. And you will not get to the other side of this until 2025, where you start to relax. This is why we said, we're going to take you to joy, and we want you to stay in this place for the longest time. That is what is happening now. But this is why we have given you everything all of this time is to take you out of your fear and doubt. Now we want to give you something else because we've talked about this a bit, and then we're going to go to all of your questions because we want to get as many as we can today, and we're not so concerned about the time. But when we don't want you to judge yourself because you have not acted on what you're meant to do, because it comes up and we know that you feel it and you see it, or you're focusing on all the disasters and then you can't see the other side. Doesn't matter. You can still always change it. When our being, we told him, we finally revealed to him, you have all of this that you could bring to the world now. There's no reason that you would be still this person and have done what you've done if you didn't possess something. This is what we're saying to all of you, but you have to mine it, so to speak, and that's what we have you do in our work. But he had to do the same thing, but he was still resistant. So in 2021, we said, you have to start talking. We already took away his writing. He couldn't even write anymore because he couldn't read it because too much information was coming through. So we said, you have to start speaking. He said, no, I can't do that. No, I can't go on and do a channeling session. That's just a little bit too scary. No, we said, you have to now. Because either that or you'll break. And he got frightened. He thought, break what? Me? The world? We said it's both. That's what we're saying to all of you. See, because unless you decide that you're going to love yourself and be the people that you can be, your world will still spiraling out of control. Now, it's going to keep changing. We will say this. It's going to keep changing and eventually we'll get there, but you're just going to decide the condition that your planet will end up in on what you decide to do now. So when we took him back to 2008 and we showed him that we gave you, he didn't even know. This was a half hour ago. And he's like, oh, wow, all of these messages were there as well. Yeah, and the first one we started with on January 1st, because again, we wanted to use your linear time about Pluto changing to show you that you are creating your world. We said right there, yes, this is a new year. And you're creating it collectively. That's what we said then. He just found it. And so now we're telling him, gee, you could create another book called How to Move Through Your Pluto Return. Because see, you're doing that in your world. You never experience as an individual because you don't live that long, but your world does. And the United States has done it. This is why you're seeing all the chaos in the United States, and it's happening today. And so we just want you to raise your awareness and just understand that things are being corrected. Everything that was not for the highest good is going to be revealed, and it's going to be uncomfortable because you're going to fight against it. And then you have this cognitive dissonance because you're looking at things that you didn't understand before, and you can say, how could that be possible? But we're saying that when you go to love, all things are possible. And this is what we've given you. And then we did something else. We had Dexter King die. We didn't do that. He made that choice himself. But that is Martin Luther King's younger son. He died from prostate cancer, see. And Roger's been so, and we just used something, we've used many things about Dr. King because there's certain people that will impress you on your journey, and this is one for Roger. And this is why we also use the Elanor Roosevelt story, because she also impressed him. Because see, Elanor saw that there was needed to be a change in the world, and she just took this courage. And we talked about one story where she went into this place where it was segregated between whites and blacks. And she goes, this isn't right, because she had a black person she was with. And so she sat in the middle That's what Roger would do too, you see. And this has been his entire life. And then especially at this time now in your world, because he has all the references to Jews and Muslims and Christians, because he's been with all of them. That's been his entire life. And he's moved back and forth, and he understands those challenges and those the ancient hatred that has gone on for all of you. But when you start to let go of it, wow, do you have this great life and you heal physically? That's the other thing that's so challenging for many of you. And we will say this, Roger's not talked about this as much, but we're having him do it. But he doesn't talk about it because he knows what is possible, but he doesn't like seeing those of you who don't take the time to stay with it to become disappointed. And that he has to let go of as well. He cannot be responsible for if you're going to use the work and accomplish what he has, because that's your individual choice, because you always have free will. All we can do is present this to you and bring you to this lighter understanding and awareness of who you are. And that is what is occurring now. But we have so many, we've just revealing to him how much more we can bring into this universe, into this planet now, that's going to help you all during this restructuring. And you're going to all ascend to the highest state of who you could become. And it'll be the most glorious life that you could ever possibly imagine. And we know that's difficult at times for you to accept, and we put that in some of the messages. So you will have to suspend your disbelief for a bit, because the more of you who decide to do that, you start to see different lives and you start to see a very different world. And so we would like to take your questions now, because we've given Roger so much information, and it will come through your questions, because this is all aligned and perfectly orchestrated.
Yes, the Q&A portion is now open. We are receiving questions. Click on the Q&A button, write in your question, and I'll ask it on your behalf. And they are coming in very quickly already. Fantastic work, fellow light workers. Here we go. First question. Where am I in terms of my journey? Feeling more and more in a void and limbo, very foreign and an unknown space. What is happening with my physical body? Very emptied and hollowed out. The visual field is all over the place too, moving through darkness. It's transforming. Is it transforming into light? I want to burst out of this cocoon.
Well, you said all the correct words. Just birth out of it. And so we've given you examples. We can't do the work for you. See, Roger was in that cocoon forever. This is why none of this work came out. We're telling you, he spent 20 years hiding all of this, and it only came out because someone else found it. And then he still never wanted to do it. He still never wanted to. He said, "This is not my career. I couldn't possibly do this." But he knew he had to, because he was taking steps that he knew could guide the rest of you. But the journey is individual. What you do is you use tools to get there. And we've given you many messages about that where he didn't believe himself, and we had to keep showing him all the others. And this is the reason that we've used people like Carl Jung, because Carl developed something that is affecting and transforming your world. But he too held back, and he gave Roger more encouragement, because he talked about being an intuitive and also being introverted. So what we are saying is your journey is unfolding, and all the words that you used were the correct ones. Yes, let go of your body. You let go of all that physical stuff and go into the void, because what is happening now, all of you are holding on to something that is no longer needed in your lives or in your world. That's this transition that is occurring. And so you just have to keep going. You have to keep taking those steps into self-discovery. That's what we've said you each are doing now. And it's an individual journey, and you are the only one who can accomplish it. Thank you.
I'm on the mission of finding what my purpose and my life path are for the first time without fear. How will I know when I run into my path? When I will I feel a certain way, or will there be signs and synchronicities?
Yeah, you'll feel terrible. We gave you that one too. When you don't take the step into the next part of you, and all of this is so beautiful, because when you guys listen to what we gave you, we'll probably have it done, because many people hated that recording. So we will do something that's a little more amenable to your ear. However, when you read it, you can do that. You'll see that it's always this constant step that you take. And so the other problem is you each think that there's some place that you're going to reach and that you're going to discover your life purpose and then everything is off to the races. Yeah, that doesn't happen because there's always more. You're unlimited, multidimensional beings. So there's always different levels that you could move to. Roger's had so many different careers, and this is the last one that he wanted to do, and the one that he resisted the most. You each will find that. So don't worry. And we love using the thing we heard Steven Spielberg say through an interview, and Roger got that. He says, well, I think your life purpose kind of shows up on you. And that is exactly what happens. You just have to take the step to discovering. However, what we did here in your question is that you think that all of a sudden there's going to be this place where you find it and you're done. That doesn't happen. You're always in the continual evolutionary process. That's the ascension process. And so that purpose that you're looking for is your individual path, and it's going to always change and unfold. And you will know if you're doing it because when you're at peace, that is the very first message that we gave you on that thread in 2008. You're on your way. Don't be anxious. And we need all of you to be patient because you're going to keep moving through a bunch more changes during this time. Thank you.
When I'm eager to share my collective wisdom, I often pause, wary of seeming arrogant or superior.
Mm-hmm.
Despite this, I'm aware of the unique breadth of my understanding, drawn from the diverse spiritual, ancient, and scientific sources.
Mm-hmm.
This fear of seeming egotistical, coupled with a sense of humility, that I'm not an expert in every field, but rather someone with a holistic perspective and practical understanding and love to share all the wisdom I have gathered to help others find the best tools, beliefs, etc., that fits the individual. The challenge lies in shining my light without dimming others and ensuring my intention to enlighten rather than outshine is clear. How can I ensure that my intentions are seen as a desire to illuminate and not outshine? How do I fully embrace and project my light without the worry of overshadowing others?
You just did it. And we thank you so much because this is the period that you're all moving through. And this is why we talked about the ego. But you have done so much more of this and you're not giving yourself credit because for you to come to the awareness that you just did is the most beautiful thing that could ever happen. And this is what we wanted to bring to more of you. And this is why Roger's held back so much because he sometimes can be too intense and come off and say, and he knows that people can't receive that. And so this is why we said we had to have him transcend his ego, because you come to this place of knowingness. We say, now I know, and you want everyone else to know. But then your ego is going to want that to be about, yes, because I'm wise and I know it all, knowing that you don't. But you said everything perfectly, and you just have to allow this to come. You're doing it all right. We just love this, and we can't thank you so much to bringing this awareness because there are many others on the path, and you'll find this. And we call some of the spiritual people also they become a little hypocritical because they come to a state of awareness, but then they start judging others because they haven't gotten there. And then they try to get it's just a dance. But you did the most brilliant thing and you didn't know it because you just wrote that as a question, and all you did was disseminate your wisdom. And we thank you. So you've just answered your own question. Okay.
I've noticed a lot of the spiritual community are moving to Christianity. Why is that?
Are moving. Sorry. We didn't hear.
Yes. Yeah, repeating the question. I've noticed a lot of the spiritual community are moving or they move to Christianity. Why is that?
Move to Christianity?
Yes.
Okay, well, that's a little different. Okay. They moved to Christianity because they started to understand that the religions weren't serving them. That's all. This is what we're talking about. And we want to talk to you because Jesus had something to say to you as well. And so did Buddha and all of these others, but you don't listen. This is why we gave you that as well. There. Okay. Spiritual communities will take the Christ consciousness. That's what they're doing without the dogma, without the rules, without all of that. This is why we said we have given you something. We don't call it a religion, it's a philosophy, because if you think of a religion, you start putting rules on it. And we said, no, you come to honor your essence and that part of you that's connected to the divine. And so more, and this is the change in the consciousness that's happening now, and more people of the spiritual community are understanding that and they're moving to that. Now, we will also say this because you're going to see it. There are going to be certain contradictions that you can't explain, and they're going to be showing up in your evangelicals, for instance. They're coming up. That you're just going to see it because they're going to say things that are contradictory to what you each believe. And this is why we wanted to bring this awareness to you, because you all do it. You go to church and you say, yes, I'm an eternal spirit, but I might die tomorrow. Because you have, so you maintain that fear, or you say that God loves me, but they don't love those other people. These are the contradictions that you're going to have to figure out because you all have them. But once you come to the state of understanding your essence and get to that place of ultimate reality, which many call the fifth dimension or fifth dimensional thinking, let's say, then it's very different. And that's what we have given you. We're so glad that you are beginning to notice that, but also we will say, because this is about you, you notice that for yourself. And that's so great because we also felt that you wanted to break from those religious threads, and now you've been given permission to do that, and we're so glad that you noticed. Thank you.
Okay, just letting you guys know that we are no longer receiving questions. We have more than enough questions to take us a little bit past the hour. If you were able to ask your question, we're going to answer it even if we go over time a little bit. If you were unable to ask your question, please bring it to the next channeling session. When I was a child, I was very strong-willed. I could accomplish things easily because of my will. I could run the fastest. I could ace any test. I could swim faster than most. I would never give up until I achieved what I wanted. I still believe I have a strong will in the sense that I haven't given up on my life and purpose despite the perceived obstacles, though I would like to have that same intense sense of will again. What is will and how can it be strengthened? And how can it be strengthened? Is it different from energy of pushing or is it just choosing?
Oh, thank you. Choosing. We love that. You can say, yeah, you guys are so brilliant and you just don't know it. It is choosing. And so you have the will. You've been your guide, your life path demonstrated that to you because of all the things that you could do when you were younger. But then it changes. And this is why we said it could be very different now. And for many of you, the things that you did before are changing now, or you're pulling up things that you put away before you didn't believe in, but now they're coming back. And so for you, what is happening is you are becoming aware of this magnificent ability that you have to use your free will, and that again is choosing. So you have it. You're looking at the ability that was developed, but the choosing now is going to be, what do you want to be? Who do you want to become? Because you're in a new place now, and we love this so much. And so now you're going to harness all of that ability that you knew you could do to all these physical things and mental prowess and all of that. But now you're going to do it in the thing that is most authentic to your being. You may not have all of that information, but you will uncover it. That is the process. But we're so grateful that you discovered who you are, because you do have these abilities and you understand free will, which you all have, and it is a matter of choosing. And you knew that, which is why you said that at the very last word of that question. Thank you.
I love all of this spiritual stuff and I am full of belief and interest, but I feel blocked and lack feeling. What can I do? Love to all.
That's why you're here, and we're so glad you're here. Because, see, you have so much to offer to your planet at this time, and it's within you. And do not judge yourself because it's blocked. You all come in with generational beliefs, okay? And so this is why we wanted you to understand, which is why we take you back through your life, and you'll see, your life on this physical plane. But there are more things beyond that. You all come in with generational connections, let's say, and they're all showing up big time now. And so you are feeling blocked because there's something that you just haven't uncovered. It was something you were given. That's all. And so you each have that, and it's going to look like this obstacle. And we love that you use that because obstacles are opportunities. Any obstacle that's in front of you is something that you wanted to transcend in this particular lifetime. And as you do that, you will start to discover the essence of who you are, and you will add that to your world. So you're in the right place. And now, but we do feel that, wow, you're okay. No, there's some place. Hmm. There's some place that is in front of you, and that you'll read this in the messages that you are just waiting to take that next step. That's where you are now, and you will choose that. And so, and we're just going to allow that to come to you because it's going to show up, and you're going to start using your abilities to that end. Oh, great! Thank you so much.
I've been seeking guidance, but don't seem to hear anything despite daily meditation and centering. How do I get my guides to be louder?
You just did it. You just said it. You just called them in just by saying that because they are there. The only thing that's happening, you just don't believe it. You're just not hearing it. And so what happens is, and we can take you back to, we'll use Roger as an example, because as we've said, when he first started allowing himself to meditate and just kind of doing it, prayer or whatever, he didn't know. And then when he actively started to want to hear us, it didn't come through right away. And then when it did come through, it frightened him. This is why he put it away, because he said, this can't be real. And then he started saying, wait a minute, am I making this up? Well, you all are. But when you calm, this is why we talk about meditation and going to a different place. When you're calm, you start hearing a different voice. This is why many of you wake up in the middle of the nights and hearing things or having dreams, is because your everyday consciousness has decided to get out of the way, and you can hear a little bit more. And so you are in this place where you're uncovering so much more right now, and it's going to start to manifest in a brand new way for you, which is going to be really interesting. But you're all doing that now, so don't worry. The fact that you said you can't hear it means that you will hear it. We've used certain ideas about your there's one that you'll find, we don't know if it's on the site currently because they've changed things, but it's one that we said you'll begin to hear faster. That means that when you start to calm down and listen, you start to hear the communication that's coming from your higher self. And then that communication starts to become interpreted by you. But don't rush this. It feels that you're anxiously trying to cause this to happen, and that's not the way that it happens. You have to relax and allow. So don't worry, you're on the track, and you'll start getting something. And it's going to come through in the form, we want you to start writing. Just start writing. Don't think about it. Just start writing. Pretend that you're in school. Pretend that your teacher is giving you an assignment and you have to write an essay. Start doing that. And that's going to get you to hear new information. And we'll be waiting to hear what comes through. Thank you.
How can I truly tell if I'm done with the current phase of my dark night of the soul and ready to move on, or if I still need to relax and wait for inspired actions? I feel an urge to start, to go, but on the other hand, I'm scared of getting overwhelmed and lost in a cycle of constant doing again.
We don't feel that. We feel that you've come to this awareness and you're still holding back. That's all. Just do it. No, there's something um that that's so blatant right there. Your higher self is saying, yes, you're ready. See, this is why we told you the story about Roger sitting on the bed. You said he wasn't going to move. We said, you have to start talking. He said, no, I can't do it. I'm not ready yet. You're doing that now. You are ready. Just start doing it. Forget about the results. We want you all to start forgetting about the results. And this is what we gave you. And there's a message in there. You'll see it. We want you to focus on what you can give rather than what you can get. See, because part of the problem in starting is that you're giving your services or showing your gifts or your talent, whatever it might be, is this going to be, am I going to get paid for this? Is this going to be all of that? Instead of honoring that authentic side of you that has nothing to do with material things of this planet. It's your innate worth and value. And so just start looking at that and start going. You are ready. Your dark night of the soul is going to be Hmm. Your dark night of the soul is only there because you're not willing to take the next step. You move through your dark night of the soul when you start to accept the next portion of who you are meant to become. You go through those periods and it seems really scary and horrible, and you may think you're going to die and you don't. Then you've healed another aspect of your journey, and then you're ready to go on. But sometimes healing that journey is about the actual going on, just taking the next step, and you're ready to do that. Thank you so much.
I keep going unconscious during channeled transmissions.
Mhm.
How can I integrate the work consciously?
Okay. Ah, okay. We believe that we just feels like you're kind of channeling something. Is that we think that's what's going on here? And if that is true, um, don't worry. Okay. We're going to give you certain other things. When Roger first became very consciously aware that we were giving him information, and he was writing and he was doing all of that, but then there were other times where he would sit and he would do the meditation, he would fall asleep. He would just fall asleep. And we knew that was happening. And so then we would nudge him a little bit. He'd have this little thing and say, now just write. Other times he would just fall asleep because it was the resistance. It wasn't that he wasn't hearing it. So you are doing something that is, you haven't integrated it fully, but you said all the correct words. That is the process. You will come to an awareness, then you have to integrate it into your physical 3D lives here. And then as that happens, then there's another step for you to take. And this is why we keep talking about your steps in your ascension journey, because they're continual and constant. And so you are at that place now where you're just allowing the next steps to be revealed to you. That's all. And so don't, yeah, just keep doing what you're doing. Just keep doing what you're doing. That's the best advice that we could possibly give you. You're on the right track. Thank you.
I've been wanting to open my third eye, but I'm having difficult time finding out a way to do so. Is there a way for me to open it, or is this something you have to be gifted?
Okay. Thank you so much. Right. You people are giving us all the correct things. You will look at things and hear all these other beings talking about their third eye and how they opened it and all the things they go through. And if those work for you, great. But we just want you to think that that third eye is always there. You can focus on it into the center of your head, and you can use all kinds of meditations. You can use the violet light, the golden, you can use all sorts of things, the white light, and believe that that's happening. And some of you have used drugs. We understand. And some of you use other substances to cause that to happen. However, it's going to awaken and you will find that third eye as you keep taking the steps into who you are. There's no timeline, there's no particular place that that's going to show up, and for many people on your planet that never occurs. It's only that we're speaking to you guys because we know that you're on a path that would allow that to happen, and this is why we want more of you to allow that to happen, because then you have a very different world. But please do not judge yourself because you're looking for some imaginary thing that's going to happen where all of a sudden instantly that third eye is open. It's a process and you get it, and sometimes you would just be there for a second where you know, oh, I can see something different. You don't stay there all the time. You came to have a human experience on this physical plane, and so you have to have other things. When our being is doing this, he's in a different place. And he knows that he just feels great and wonderful, and everything is brilliant when he's here. It took a long time for us to get here. However, when he leaves here, he knows nothing about what just happened. And then he has to go back to being Roger, just like you all do. But then he integrates more and he has to go back and listen. As we've said, he had to go back and listen to our sessions that we did a year or 2 years ago to bring him to a new understanding of where he is now. And you must understand that we have given him information in different ways than some of the others. And we have been using the events that will be occurring in your world. That's why we said that this work wasn't meant to come through until now, this period, this time, this transition in your world. And so just be patient, all of you, with what is occurring within you, because you're each being moved to new understandings of who you are. And it just takes time for that to occur. Mainly, it takes time for you to accept. That's all. but it's going to be fun. We're going to keep guiding you all, so this is great. Thank you so much.
Could you give me advice on finding who I really am? Following my passion, meditating, writing. What else would you advise us to do?
Stop doubting. Because see, you said all the correct things. You said all the stuff that we would tell anyone to do. And as you keep doing those, you're going to keep accessing more information. What you do, your consciousness is this grand, vast place. And so, but you have to chip away at all the blockages that you've had there. This is what many refer to as the veil, seeing beyond the veil. And that's a process. That you move through an ascension, and that's just a matter of changing your thinking and your limitations. And so you are moving in that place now, and just stay on the path. That's all. And yeah, wow, you guys are all, and we couldn't have asked for anything better because we keep calling out to attract more of you because our main intention is to give you more confidence and more belief because that's the thing that many of you are lacking, and especially during this period because you're going to have all this fear. We did another one. We said you're going to choose between love or fear, and the love will be when you keep taking the steps into actualizing and understanding who you are. There's no self that's just going to magically appear. It develops, and you're just allowing that to happen. So, yeah, that was wonderful. Thank you.
Dear being of light, I have the opportunity to upgrade my position at work to become a cardiac physiologist. One option is to go back to university. I appreciate the opportunity. However, my excitement and bliss lies in the spiritual and esoteric. Can you assist me in knowing which route to take that is for my highest good, please? Thank you.
We don't know why you're separating them. That's our main question. Because obviously your path has led you to the cardiac. We love that so much because that's about the heart. When you start to understand that you integrate the physical aspects of your bodies and your spiritual aspects, and then if you can help someone else understand that, and it may be in your presence, we don't know how it's going to show up, but you have to feel what it feels more aligned and innate for you. But it feels like you're making some sort of separation that if you're doing something in the medical field, that could not be spiritual. And this is the this is the kind of thing that we want you all to question a little bit more because who made that up? You each did that. You come in to develop things. You have technologies that you're developing. We've told you that we gave our being. We wanted him to marry science, spirituality, and human potential. And that's exactly what this work does because your universe is not static. It's not been formed. It's not developed. It's being developed all the time. And certain people come in with new information to have that happen. And you all have it just in different ways. We gave our being a philosophy to bring into your new world. This is why we call it transformation for the new world, life transformation for the new world, because that's what you're creating. And so you are in the place now of doing something very, very similar. And so it is uncovering it's you're uncovering it all now, all of you. We just want you to stay on the path because this is just so brilliant what you each are coming up with. But we just and you want you to understand this too. See, because the more of you who start to acknowledge the things that you're doubting and decide to move through them, it's an energetic connection that you start to put into the world that starts to see it become much more loving. Because and the one thing that we've not been able to fully get many of you to reach is that the most important thing in your individual journey is to decide to love who you are. That is the greatest contribution you can make, and that does mean moving through all the stuff you thought you did wrong before and all the judgments, but then you come out the other side and you're in the best place ever. And that's what we want for all of you. Thank you.
The more I want to work towards spirituality and self-improvement, the more physical ailments I keep developing. Even after treatments and medicines, I cannot see an end to my sickness and disease. It is hard for me to meditate and focus when I feel sick all the time. How do I improve this? How do I end my sickness and disease?
Okay, you don't end your sickness and disease. You just allow it to breathe. You allow it to because you're fighting against so much and you're judging yourself and you're thinking you're being punished and that never happened. You agreed to take on all of these different things that are showing up for you now so that you can allow the information and wisdom that those particular ailments are going to bring to you. And that's going to cause you to have your soul evolve. And whatever information comes through, that's what you will leave to this world. That will be your legacy. You each are leaving one. You're just figuring out how you're going to do it. And some of you have taken on complicated, challenging paths that involve sickness and illness and disease. Our being had all of them. And this is why we talk about it, and they're all gone. He's transcended them, but that's, and he, again, we're not saying that that is for you. As that we gave you a message, we're saying that the malady, the illness, whatever it is, the dis-ease will be healed on the spiritual level always. And that happens when you start to love and understand yourself. But we want you to start asking new questions. And the questions would be, why do I have this? What is this trying to tell me? What is this trying to bring me? What awareness? We want you to ask new questions, because what you've been doing now is continuing to say, I'm being punished and I'm going to have more of these horrible things that are going to come to me. And we're saying that is not the case. You're being given an opportunity to transcend something that's going to help your planet during this time. And we just want you to have more faith and belief and calm down. And just the more things that you can do about self-care, because we feel that you haven't really done that. You've just been focusing on the illnesses. We want you to focus on the self-care so much more. Whatever it is that gives you the moments of pleasure and peace and calm, whether it's body work or meditating or something like that. And keep doing that. Thank you so much.
Okay, we've got 4 more questions to go. I feel out of resonance with some of my family members, and I want to separate from them for the rest of this life
Mhm.
because of how negative they are.
Mhm.
What would you advise?
Thank you for that question, because this is exactly what we want to talk about. Many of you are going to experience that, and we want you to understand you cannot judge them. You cannot hate them. But if it helps you to be away from them, then do that. But do it with love. You must understand that you each have an individual life path you're meant to follow. And it's not going to necessarily be with those in your immediate family, your friends, or even the people that you might have picked up along the way on your journey, because it changes as you evolve and come into the new aspects of who you are. However, we did hear something that we want you to shift, and that is judging them as being negative. They are negative because they wanted to show you how positive you are. That's why you brought them into your life. That's why you were placed in that family, so that you could come to a new awareness to bring the love. And you have to let go of hating them to be able to do that. Just decide to love yourself and give them permission to do the same thing. And if it means staying away from them the rest of this incarnation, that's okay. But as long as you leave with the feeling of love and knowingness that you are doing it for the highest good of all, you're doing it for the highest good of you and for them. And everything will be beautiful. Thank you for that.
I decided to quit one of my jobs because I felt unsupported by my boss, and I've wanted to quit for a long time. There were signs from nature and feedback from my friends that made me feel it was the right decision. But now I'm starting to worry about my income.
Mm.
How do I find more income from other sources? Thank you.
You will. Just when you're asking that question, just know that it's there. Know that it's available. And again, when you read the messages, listen to them when we have that. When you what we gave you on this thread, you will find a message that we gave you about that. And so you will start to put this together in a new way. When sometimes, okay, let's tell you a story. Sometimes you have to force yourself, because many of you, and we've given you this, are focused on the material things of this world, which you cannot take with you. We have that message in there. And so then what you have to do is just cut off from that, what our being did, because when he was bringing this information through several years ago, and he knew that he had to make a change, and he did not have the income, he still was cutting himself off. And so what he did, he says, okay, I'm going to get rid of things. He got rid of his car. He got rid of everything. He just said, I'm not going to have all these things. Because he knew he had to do this. And over time, he started to have more of the belief, and then the income started to show up. But he still held himself back. which is why we're having to change things again, because we keep saying that you all have to change your consciousness. That's all. So for you, you've made the best decision ever because you decided to honor yourself. The universe loves that and will start to honor you. But you just have to start asking for the right position. What kind of thing? We want you to ask more questions. What kind of position would serve you? What would take you to the place you want to be? Do that. Where could you go? Who could you meet? What groups could you? There's so many things that you could start to do, but you can't do it when you're going into the fear and the worry that you don't have it, that you're not going to have the money, that you're going to have lack, because that brings up more fear and you'll stay there. But you have such an awareness, and you did the most courageous thing ever was to let go of that chain that was holding you, which was the money. And we gave you a message about that too. We said the money confused you, because many of you will find that you're changing things now that you never thought you were going to do, and you had these other jobs that you stayed there just because you were attached to the money. That money is not you. So you will just please hang in there. We're going to keep you sending you great, great, great energy, because we know you're about to do something really wonderful, and it will come about. Thank you.
Okay, we're at the final two questions here. Why am I so frustrated with myself? I have invested all my time and energy into my children with love. Why do I constantly feel I have a block when it comes to needing financial support for my business, which aims to globally change the way we guide our children?
Why do you? Oh, we love you so much. And you're right at the place that you're supposed to be right now. You see, because this is the message we're referring to that we gave Roger in 1989, and why he was so angry and why he was so frustrated, because he knew that he had this knowledge. He knew that he had this intellectual understanding of things, but he was frustrated because he couldn't talk about it. He couldn't put it out there. He couldn't move to that next place. That was 1989. You're doing the same thing because you have developed something that you know is going to make a difference in the world, and it came from your heart, and it came from what is really true to you and your your journey, your particular life journey. So you are right there, and you just cannot give up on this. You just have to support it and keep developing it, because all of you are developing something during this time now that's going to feel like it's coming out of nowhere, or it's something that you put away and now you're coming back, you're bringing it back, dusting it off and making it brand new. That's what you're doing. So please you are doing something. You're doing something so vital. And we know that's challenging. This is what many of you who bring in new things and develop new things, like our being did. This is why it was so horrible for him. He couldn't even say these things, even though he knew what it could do. You have the same thing. Just stay with it, and we're going to keep supporting you. So thank you.
And the final question. I feel like I'm on the verge of receiving a huge amount of financial abundance. Is it really coming? Any advice on how to put it to service and best use?
Yes. You're all at that place. This is why we said you have feared your success more than failure. See, because success would give you all the abundance and all of that coming in, and you are right there and you're very aware of it. And your planet is causing many of you to become aware of that because of the galactic changes that are occurring. This is a wonderful opportunity. As we said, we our being post something yesterday on your social media saying, well, you could look at this time in your world as being the most horrible time ever, or the greatest opportunity that has ever existed. And that's who you are, and that's where you are right now. That's why you're feeling that. And it is true if you believe it. And this is the other thing. It's the belief that you just have to hold on to. Faith and belief will bring you everything that you want. And you're right at the right place now, and it's coinciding with this restructuring of your world. So we're so glad that you're going to start to bring in this abundance, because what you will do with it is something that is going to help the collective, because you've never been selfish. You've always been so generous. And so now you're going to be paid for that. The universe is going to reward you. It's going to reward all of you who decide to take those next steps into becoming your highest best self. And that's the information we wanted to give you. Thank you.
Yes, we're complete with questions.
We have one more thing to say. We want to leave you. We did this on this day, and we want you to just listen and just read the message that we gave you, and we'll get this all out to you. You're going to be moving through a period in your world that's going to look a little chaotic at times. However, when you come together, it feels very different. This is why we've specifically told our being to bring together the groups, and that's where he's having the most fun, and so are they. And you're going to need that through this entire year. So whatever you're doing, we want you to love yourself, keep working on developing who you are. It will make the greatest difference in your life and in your world, because you are all that important, and especially at this time on your planet. Thank you so much, and we love you all so very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And yeah, we keep it short. I keep it short now. As Wilhelm said often enough, that it's time to really decide upon ourselves. So if you want to join our community, if you want to join your last development program, right, then you can go on your 4 weeks to your best life and yeah, join, because we were going to double the price very soon. And it's a great opportunity to actually get it going to the full moon, to do it for yourself, right? To join a community, to have great conversations about the topics that we've discussed. Really, it's all about the spiritual awakening. It's all about becoming your best self. It's all about loving yourself for who you are and owning your uniqueness, finding your purpose, have support, be the support even as well at the same time. And yeah, click the link that's then put in it, sign up, see us in the group calls, join me in the meditations. We also learn meditating or meditating together, right? Finding the power of our third eye as well, which is a very, very much a topic that I love. And yeah, we all come together, share our gifts, and learning, growing, and loving each other so we can create the world that we want to create. Alrighty, thanks, Rog. Thanks, Dan. And yeah, all my love to you.
I find this work is very powerful. They change a lot very quickly. It's like quite surprising how things are changing for me.
I want to say how grateful I am that you've done this. And the time that you've put through on this is just amazing. And as we get older and we put through something like this into the world, you don't know the benefits of it until years later.
I just want to thank you for the program. Probably a year or two ago, if there was a tough decision to make, especially about money or anything like that, I would let fear and worry guide me away from a decision that might have helped me grow.
I have moved. I have made some positive changes. Hey, good, bad, or ugly, you did it. That's the main thing.
When you say the time is now, and I always appreciate it, because now more than ever, I feel a little bit more satisfied with myself, because especially lately, I keep leaving a project not finished.
I love the program. I love the questions. But I think that being aware of everything that's inside of you and bringing it out onto paper, it really does make you step forward in that area.
The way the questions penetrate into your memory and into your past experiences is so unique. Yeah, it really goes deep very, very quickly. I mean, I'm only on day 3, but the way like the questions are presented and the things you read before and the whole steps you go through, probably a lot of people's experiences, but it goes really deep, really, really quickly.
I mean, every day has its difficulties, but like, it's better than it was. You know, I mean, I'm doing more things that I enjoy, and like I find that I personally feel like I'm meant to do my book and everything, and then with the acting, I'm working on all that.
I've been taking so much courses, like especially with this pandemic, I approached different from Tony Robbins, from Bob Proctor, from Jack Canfield, and also I've been following Abraham Hicks, but never really brought me the result that I wanted to do it. So I'm very, I mean, this course is very more, I found that I think it's a bit faster.
Roger, I just wanted to say thank you again, because A few years ago, I realised that voice coaching wasn't the only thing that I could do, and that I had something else. I didn't know what it was. I had no idea what it was.
For a limited time, learn more about how Roger can help you step into your best life by going to 4weekstoyourbestlife.com today.